How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back. So I'm really excited to do this ranking today. I've been thinking about doing a Black Sabbath ranking for like 2 years now. And really, the only thing holding it up was really because I didn't own all the albums. And when I do ranking videos, I like to be able to show the physical copy and just talk about it a little bit. And I'm kind of take pride in that basically. But it was really exciting. Just like a couple months ago, the Tony Martin box set was released. And I had actually never heard anything from Tony Martin except for Headless Cross, the actual song. I had seen the video before. Other than that, I'd never heard anything else from Tony Martin before. So when I got this, I was kind of pleasantly surprised with it, even though it doesn't sound like old school Black Sabbath. It sounds like 90s, late 80s, early 90s Black Sabbath, because that's what it was. But this overall, I was surprised that I liked this a little bit more than I had, because I had heard a lot of people say kind of bad things about Tony Martin, about his vocals and just the way Black Sabbath sound during that era. So I'm really excited to get into this ranking. I'm actually going to do 20 albums here. So I include the one that a lot of people consider to be a Black Sabbath album, even though it doesn't say it's a Black Sabbath album. But I'll get to that one later. Okay, so at number 20, these bottom three albums, I don't really dislike these albums. I just don't think they sound like Black Sabbath to me. They're just not very heavy. So at number 20 for 1978, I have Never Say Die. This is obviously, I love the title track, but I think Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility, he hates this album. I think it's like not at like the bottom of his list as well. But obviously, Johnny Blade and Junior's Eyes, Bill Ward sings the song "Swinging the Chain," which he did that like those last two albums at the end of the '70s. Okay, at number 19, this is actually it says it's Black Sabbath, but it's actually not a Black Sabbath album. But from 1986, I have Seven Star. This is supposed to be a Tony Iommi. It's supposed to be a solo album, but then the studio wouldn't allow him to make a solo album, which I think he's trying to do another solo album now. So let's see what happens with that. I don't know. I don't think he has a record company contract anymore, so I think he can kind of do what he wants. But back then, you obviously had Glenn Hughes sings on this, and I guess he was having some serious drug issues at the time. Eric Singer plays drums on it. I actually kind of like this album. It sounds like a hard rock album. Like I said, it doesn't sound like a Black Sabbath album, but overall, I like the way it starts off. "In for the Kill," I think is a good song. "No Stranger to Love," "Turn to Stone," the title track, "Seven Star," "Danger Zone." So at number 18 for 1976, I have "Technical Ecstasy." This one is this is the second to last one with Ozzy in the '70s, before he would come back years later. But this one is really strange. The first single off of this is the Bill Ward song "It's All Right," which I think is actually a pretty good song. It has the song "Gypsy." There's a lot of good stuff on here. It's just like I said, it's not very heavy. Backstreet Kids, "You Won't Change Me," just stuff like that. It's a "Rock and Roll Doctor," "Dirty Women." That song I actually like it quite a bit, but to me, it's just at this time, Black Sabbath were kind of running out of steam, and maybe like I said, trying to do some different stuff at the time, just to kind of mix it up, because they had already been like a heavy doom band already. Maybe they were trying to fit in with the changing musical scene at the time, but it just doesn't totally work. But I like I said, I actually like listening to this album. Okay, at 17, so I'm getting into the Tony Martin era here. This is one I've heard some people say that this is probably their favorite Tony Martin album. But from 1994, I have "Cross Purposes." This one is really strange. To me, it's the first one with Tony Martin back after Dio quit the band again. This one, it sounds like they're very much trying to sound like a grunge band. Especially to me, the song "Virtual Death" sounds very much like Alice in Chains, which I can't remember ever hearing on other Black Sabbath albums where they had like backing vocals. Which I like Alice in Chains a lot. I like grunge music. At least at that time, I liked it a lot back in the '90s. Maybe not so much now, but it's very strange to hear Black Sabbath do an album like this. Like "Eyewitness" is pretty good. "Cross of Thorns," stuff like that. "Immaculate Deception," stuff like that. It's kind of interesting that this is, like I said, this is the remastered version. It has "What's the Use" on it. Okay, number 16. This one is actually one I've heard people say for years that they hate it, and I've heard people say they like the remix quite a bit. From 1995, I have "Forbidden." Very strange that, like I said, I've never heard the other version, the one that I've heard people say, I think Pete Pardo and Chris Allo on Sea of Tranquility said they back on the original recording, they said that Cozy Powell's drums sounded way too loud, and the guitars I think weren't didn't sound right, and I think they said they liked the remix quite a bit more. You know, I don't know if it's going to move way up the list for a lot of people, but you know, when I heard this though, I actually thought I was listening when I put this in the car. I thought it was Cross Purposes because in my car it gives the readout on it, and I was looking at the album cover and I was thinking this was Cross Purposes because it's kind of similar album cover, but when I put it in the first song, the illusion of power, I just couldn't believe Tony Martin's vocals at the beginning of that song. I actually kind of like that song once you get past the beginning. I kind of like it, but it's just very strange. Get a grip. I actually like the song Rusty Angels quite a bit. I've heard even my friend George from George G's Room of Rock says he likes that song too. Kiss of Death's a pretty good song. Just overall, I didn't hate this album like I was expecting to, though. It's very strange to hear people say so many bad things about it, and then I think it's because if you don't like 90s music, I think you're gonna hate it. But to me, this doesn't sound like grunge, Cross Purposes sounded like. And this one also has a Loser Gets It All. It's the bonus track on it. So okay, at 15 from 2013, I have the album 13. If that makes any sense to say it that way. Thankfully, I didn't put this album at number 13. It just didn't work out that way because that would have made it really confusing to tell people that. But this album, obviously, Bill Ward didn't play on it. I think that's a big reason why people hate this album so much. They just because if Bill Ward had played on this, I don't think people would have complained about it as much. People disliked what Rick Rubin did. He wanted Black Sabbath to kind of establish a sound that was like early Black Sabbath, and it's really dark. It's kind of it's dark just for the sake of being dark. You know, the song "God Is Dead," "End of the Beginning," the song "Loner." I think myself and George G's Room of Rock both agree that we actually like the 4 tracks around like the bonus tracks on this more than the ones that are actually on the album. There's like 4 bonus tracks. You can hear them on Spotify, but we actually like that. Those are actually more lively and less dark. Like they weren't trying to be as dark on those 4 bonus tracks. Okay, at 14, this one is an unofficial Black Sabbath album, but let me know in the comments if you agree that it is. From 2009, I have "The Devil You Know." This is the last one with Ronnie James Dio. It's that Mob Rules Dehumanizer lineup, Vinny Appice and Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi. I think it's a great album. It has the first song Adam and Evil, Fear. The song Bible Black I think is if this was officially a Black Sabbath album, that would be like one of the best Black Sabbath songs. There's so much great stuff. It's really dark. Like I said, actually Ronnie James Dio, he died like 13 months later. So it's sad that because of I think Sharon Osbourne, I think they didn't want to upset her, so they didn't put the Black Sabbath name on it. But it's got that really kind of doomy sound, but it's not forced like 13 was. It's just it sounds like a real Black Sabbath sound. And it's just a shame, if this one was included officially in the Black Sabbath catalog, they would have exactly 20 albums. Okay, 13 for 1990, I have the album Tear. This was a Tony Martin album. I think it's like the middle one. I think this one really surprised people probably if you hear it. I love the way it sounds. I think it has like 1 instrumental on it. It's just a lot of great stuff on it. To me, I love the way it sounds. Feels good to me. I think it's kind of a pop sound, kind of a pop song overall. But Jerusalem, the Sabbath Stones, Odin's Court, Valhalla. Really like that song quite a bit. Heaven and Black. Just love the songs on this. To me, that's why they work so much. And like I said, I was expecting to really rank the Tony Martin albums really low until I heard it. And maybe it's the remix, the remaster versions of these that sound so much better than people remember them being originally. Okay, number 12, I actually have The Eternal Idol. I know a lot of people might have this maybe ranked around here, maybe a little bit lower. This one's from 1987. This is actually the first Tony Martin album. Eric Singer plays on this again. I like this album a lot. This one comes with comes with 2 discs. It comes with the Ray Gillen version, which Ray Gillen, which he was in Badlands later. He was supposed to be their singer at the time, but then I think some kind of contract issue happened, and they had to re-record. I don't know if they re-recorded the songs or if they just put Tony Martin's vocals on it. But I like the way the tracks are mixed more on the Ray Gillen version of it. I like it overall. To me, I think it's a great album overall. It's just not extremely heavy, but overall I love the tracks on it. It has the song Eternal Idol, Lost Forever, Nightmare, Born to Lose, the Shining. I think is a really great song. Kind of going backwards here. Ancient Warrior, Glory Ride, Hard Life to Love. I think that's a great song, but I kind of like the Ray Gillen's, the way he sang quite a bit more, and so it'd be interesting if he would have stayed in the band. Who knows if Dio would have come back, if they would have jumped ship after 3 albums and then gone back to Dio and did all that. Who knows what would have happened if they would have kept going back to Tony Martin? If they would have for Ray Gillen, if he had gone to Badlands. Obviously he passed away like in the early '90s. Okay, at number 11 from 1992, I have Dehumanizer. So Dio is back for one album. I think they were hoping he would be back permanently, but that didn't work out. But this I actually had at one time and actually got rid of it. So I'm glad I bought this again because it comes with the bonus track. It has a Time Machine from the Wayne's World soundtrack. It has a Computer God, After All, The Dead, TV Crimes, a great song. It has a Sins of the Father. The song I, a great song. I think I is one of the best Black Sabbath songs and one of the best Dio songs ever from Black Sabbath. So, okay, number 10. Some people might be surprised I have this one so high, but from 1989 I have Headless Cross. Like I said, I love the title track to this. It's the only for years the only Tony Martin song I knew. The Gates of Hell, Devil and Daughter, great. When Death Calls, Kill the Spirit World. It's got the song Black Moon, Nightwing. This one has the bonus track, Cloak and Dagger, Call of the Wild, great song. So for me, I love the way this album sounds. It just has a great mix, great production. Tony Martin sounds great. It's his second album in the band. All right, so at number 9, for 1983, I have Born Again. This one might be controversial to have it ranked so high. This is the one that, it's got Ian Gillan from Deep Purple sings on it. It's the only album he ever played on. It's got this, the strange kind of cover, the Devil Baby, or whatever. A lot of great stuff on this. To me, the thing that people complained about this album for years now is the mix on it. That people would wish that they would do a remix on this. And I think a lot of Black Sabbath fans agree that probably the next remaster that happens will be Born Again. And I think a lot of people would love that. I think if it just an improved sound would be great. The song Trash, really great. Disturbing the Priest, The Dark, Zero the Hero, Digital Bitch, Born Again, Hotline, Keep It Warm. Just it's great sound here. And this is the one that a lot of people think that Ian Gillan destroyed his voice on this tour. The way he sang on this tour, he screamed, and apparently he was supposed to be taking a break from his band Gillan at the time and giving his vocal cords a rest, and then he kind of accidentally joined Black Sabbath and toured with them for 1 year. This one has a lot of live performances on the second disc. All right, so at number 8, I think a lot of people will have this a little bit higher than me, but from 1981 I have Mob Rules. Obviously, this is the second album with Dio. He would leave the band I think a year later, and he wouldn't come back until Dehumanizer in 1992. But a lot of great stuff on this, though. This is Vinny Appice joined the band on this one. Turn Up the Night, Voodoo. The Sign of the Southern Cross is one of the great Black Sabbath songs. The Mob Rules from if you heard the heavy metal soundtrack that was on that, it was a different mix of this one. Country Girl, Slipping Away, Falling Off the Edge of the World, Over and Over. I could have this probably a little bit higher, but I had quite a few more of those original 6 Ozzy albums. I had to rank a little bit higher than this one, but I still love this one. It's almost as good as Heaven and Hell. And obviously I put it in my top 10, so it's ranked pretty high. All right, so at number 7 I have from 1970 the debut album Black Sabbath. This is a classic album. Some people may have this a little bit higher possibly, but I think that's a pretty good spot there. That's just some of the stuff that came after this were so great in the 70s that I couldn't really rank this a little bit higher than where it was. But obviously the title track Black Sabbath is so great. Just to start off the band, the first thing anybody ever heard, to hear that with the rain, just a kind of eerie sound to it. Obviously, The Wizard's really great. Behind the Wall of Sleep, a great song. I love that the bass line and the drums, like the way Bill Ward plays that without hitting like the cymbals at the end of it. It has the NIB is really great. I think on this album they keep NIB. They put like Wasp, Behind the Wall of Sleep. Basically, that's the bass line part. I love what the Geezer Butler plays, and the NIB. They're all considered to be part of track 3, but if you get some of the hits albums, I think they separate NIB from the other songs, and they usually play that song separately. But Evil Woman's okay, Sleeping Village and Warning. I just overall, I think the Warning's like what 10. It's like 10 minutes and 28 seconds. A really long song, but it's just a classic, great debut from this band. Okay, at number 6 for 1972, I have Volume 4. I think some people would have this higher. Pete Pardo, I think this is his favorite album from Black Sabbath. But there's some really great stuff on here. Wheels of Confusion, Tomorrow's Dream. I actually like the song Changes. At least on this, I don't like the redone version of that song at all with Kelly Osbourne. I don't like that one. FX, I think that instrumental I think is pretty awful in my opinion. I think if I'm thinking of the right one, I don't like that instrumental at all. Supernaut's a great song. Snowblind, Cornucopia is really great. So at number 5 from 1973, I have Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. So I think this is a great album. The title track, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, is really great. The National Acrobat's really great. Sabracadabra, such a really great song. Killing Yourself to Live. Looking for Today. Spiral Architect's really great. Who Are You? Just some really great solid songs. I think classics from Black Sabbath, and I think number 5. I think it's pretty fair to have this one ranked that high. All right, so at number 4 from 1980, I have Heaven and Hell. So I had to get Dio up here pretty high. Some people might have this even higher, possibly number 2, number 3. But some solid stuff. For at the time, I think it was gloom and doom for Black Sabbath until they got Dio to join the band. But this is such a solid. This one's just grown on me so much over the years too. Neon Nights, such a great song. Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell, Wishing Well, Die Young, it's really great. Walk Away, Lonely is the Word. Such great stuff here. And I think for Sabbath fans at the time, I think they had to feel like they were in a pretty good place with Dio. So my top 3, I probably could have ranked these in any order, but this one I almost had at number 1 at one time. From 1975, I have Sabotage. So it's a great album. Hole in the Sky, so great. Don't Start Too Late. Symptoms of the Universe, really great. Megalomania, I think, is one of the best Black Sabbath songs I've ever heard. Even though it's like 9 minutes and 42 seconds, that's one that never shows up on the hits collections because it's such a long song. Superstar, what's it called? Superstar or Czar. I think it's a great instrumental. It's like 3 minutes and 44 seconds, but I love to hear that. The Writ, Am I Going Insane? Radio. That's more of a kind of a pop song. Thrill of It All, just solid. I think like I said, if I had this at number 1, I've seen some people put this at number 1 on their list, and I totally get it because I think it's so great. But the ones I have at 2 and 1, I think are just solid classics. I couldn't put this above those, but I still think it's a solid album though. Okay, so my top 2, I think these are kind of predictable, but to me, these are like the top 2 are like the first 2 Black Sabbath albums I ever had. So to me, they're always going to rank really high. But 1971, I had Master of Reality. Such a great one. Sweet Leaf, After Forever, Embryo, Children of the Grave, Orchid, Lord of This World, Solitude, Into the Void. Just like, to me, it's hard to put anything above those. It's hard to beat those songs, except for the one I had number 1, which is like I said, that's predictable, but I think they belong there because I think these are like the hits collections from Black Sabbath and the ones that people remember the most, and probably the ones that they're most sick of. But to me, even if you're sick of an album, it doesn't mean that they aren't deserving of being really ranked really high. All right, so at number 1, I had to put this there. For 1970, I had Paranoid. Despite the kind of the weird cover to it, it's such great stuff. War Pigs, Paranoid, Planet Caravan. Pantera would do a cover of that later. Iron Man, Electric Funeral. I play that song on bass frequently. Hand of Doom, Rat Salad, Fairies Wear Boots. How can I not put this at number 1? I can understand. Someone else may not have it ranked as high, but to me, it's just a solid album. and the remaster sounds really great. So that's where I had to put it at number one. All right, everybody. So I really appreciate you watching this video, and then please leave in the comments how you would rank these, because I've got a feeling people are going to rank these completely different, and that's fine. There really are no wrong answers. You can have Tony Martin's albums in the top 5 for all I care. You know, it can be whatever you want. Just leave that in the comments. Let me know how you feel about these. You know, like I said, we all kind of hear music differently, and we all have different opinions, and that's okay. Every opinion's a valid opinion. And please, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that. And please put a thumbs up on this video. It definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. And everybody have a great one. Bye.